Welcome everyone to the final round of the Stepan Avagyan Memorial 2025. On our screen we have Aram Hakobyan, Grandmaster from Armenia. He's rated 2620 and he's going to face Aravindh Chithambaram. A very important round this is because both Aravindh and Pragg are jointly leading the tournament with 5.5 points. Pragg is playing with the white pieces against Robert Hovhannisyan, while Aravindh, who enters here, is playing with the black pieces against Aram. So a very interesting battle will ensue here, not only for this game, but also for the top place in the tournament. Now, Aravindh, he has been an absolute revelation in 2025. In fact, from 2024 onwards, his rise to the top has been absolutely amazing. He first won the Chennai Grandmasters, where we had Levon Aronian playing, we had MVL, we had Arjun Erigaisi. So it was a huge win for Aravindh there in front of his home crowd. And then the boy has gone on to win the Pragg Masters as well. And right now, he has a live rating of 2750 plus, which has gotten him into the top 10 in the world of chess. And that just goes to show that improvement can happen at just about any age, because Aravindh is not a teenager. He's not super young. He's 25 years old. And there we have the handshake and 1 hour 30 minutes per game for until 40 moves, then 30 minutes more. That's the time control. D4 by Aram. Let's see what Aravindh opens with. He's known for his tricky play in the opening. He responds back with D5. And Aram, being super focused there, goes for C4, the Queen's Gambit. Players look a bit tired because the last round has started 4 hours before schedule. So if every day the round was starting at 3 p.m., this is already 11 a.m. It's always tough when that happens because the players are in a rhythm for 8 days and suddenly something changes on the last one. But it's part of a professional chess player's life. H6 played by Aravindh. Now this move has started gaining favor in top level because, it's a waiting move. You haven't yet decided where your knight will be. It also stops bishop g5 ideas. So white puts his knight out on f3 square. Black plays knight to f6, defending the pawn, also nicely developing here. And now Aram goes bishop to f4. So it's the bishop f4 line in the Queen's Gambit declined. And bishop to d6 played, offering a trade. Interesting move here by Aravindh. Aram wants to take. He takes it. And to win from such a position, to play for a win, is never easy, such openings. Because if you look at it, white is going to play e3. We'll have a very nice bishop. Knights are well positioned. Black bishop is a little bit, blocked on c8. So e3 played. And here black goes short castle. And rook to c1, a very nice move. Maybe later on you would love to take and play knight to b5 to attack the c7 pawn. So Aravindh plays a6, taking into control the b5 square. And for now, Aravindh is just playing move by move. A3 played here, waiting with the development of the bishop on f1, because the moment you play bishop e2, black wants to take and force you to spend another tempo there. And now Aravindh finally takes. D takes c4. Aram will most likely capture back with bishop takes c4 here. So he takes back bishop c4. And now pawn to b5. Seems like a very natural continuation. He plays it, wants to put the bishop on b7, knight d7, c5. That's how typical play continues. But bd3, Aram can have aggressive plans here. One of them could be e4, going all out with e4, e5 instead of short castling here. Yes, he plays it. e4 on the board. Nice play here by white. e5 is threatened. Aravindh needs to be careful. He goes queen b6. Puts his queen on a good square. And now Aram castles. One point that has become slightly weak in white's camp is the pawn on d4. So rook to d8 puts pressure here on the d4 pawn. Pawn goes out to b4. And now the knight comes into c6, attacking the pawn here on the d4 square. The knight comes back, knight to e2. And Aravindh is looking at his opportunities. He's gotten some play in a very unorthodox fashion, and he now creates play with the move a5. Rook jumps into c5. Aha! Aram is going after the b5 pawn. Aravindh takes on b4. But can you not simply take rook takes b5 here? That looks like the most natural move. I mean, ab4 might be better. He takes back ab4 because after this, queen a7, and if ab4, there is bishop a6, and somehow the rook is very precariously positioned. So rook comes into a3. The queen moves forward to defend the b4 pawn, and now breaking in the center, e5. Aravindh Chithambaram is letting it flow now. He's playing some great chess. Rook takes b5 taken. Notice you can't take here. d3 is hanging. So he goes back with the queen. Can you push forward here? But then there is bishop a6 that could come in. So he plays here rook to c5 back. Good move by Aram. And knight comes to d7. He's attacking the rook here. The rook moves to d5. A good move here. And how is Aravindh going to continue? He can take here. No, he cannot, yeah? Knight e7. Look at how he's almost trapping the rook here. But there is rook a5. Somehow, Aram down to 1 minute 45 seconds. You can see Aravindh has put him under tremendous time pressure with all these unusual moves. Rook a5. White is still better slightly. But Aravindh has 12 minutes. Takes the rook. B takes a5. And now takes on d4. So, white is a pawn up. Has a very good position here, but a6 by Aram. And he's trying for some tactics. If bishop takes a6, maybe he wants to go rook a1. Aravindh, very sharp, takes it. And he does it quickly, making Aram question his decision of giving up the pawn. Rook a1, pinning here. The only move, knight c5. Finds it. Threatens now, knight takes d3. So maybe taking on a6 looks logical. He takes it. But now there's a counter pin here. That's the beauty of this position. Rook d6 found by Aravindh. Wow. Aravindh is now going to win back this bishop because it cannot move. Knight takes pawn taken here. And rook takes a6. Yes, he takes back. And now rook takes a6. Queen takes a6. And a small imbalance has happened where black has this passer here. Whether it's a strength or a weakness. Whoa! Aram made that move with 1 second on the clock. That's how intense it has gotten. Knight takes e4, check, king h7. Look at Aravindh there. He's getting excited. He's getting super excited, although he has 10 minutes. He knows this is his chance. He's given up a piece here. But his idea is to enter. Whoa! c2 is hanging. f2 is hanging. There are threats of some checks here on the back rank. Have to be careful. Aram goes h4. Maybe h3 was more to the point, more useful than h4 because this weakens few squares more. Let's see how Aravindh deals with this. Look at Aravindh there. I think he wants to take here on f2. Yes, he chops off. Queen takes f2 check. King h2. Leaves the king there, or he just look at the tension here, moves it. And now Aravindh chops off the knight, and you are now 2 pawns up, but Aram takes 1 pawn back. And this is where you realize that having the pawn back on h3 would have been nicer, because Aravindh is now just going to move his knight. There you see knight f6, the best move, and he's looking at the g4 square. He goes queen to e6. And now the idea can be simply to push the c pawn. You can see how beautifully the queen is doing its job, but maybe the white knight will join in. Oh, king h3 again with 1 second. Seems like an Aram speciality here, to play down to 1 second and then press the clock. And Aravindh starts pushing even further. c4. White plays knight e5. And now c3 is incoming. You can also go queen e4, by the way, which is super strong. Yeah, this is a beautiful move. You've pinned him, and if queen takes, then queen takes knight. Plays pawn to g4. And now the knight jumps into d5. What a beautiful move. Aram quickly tries to trade queens, because otherwise his king would have gotten checkmated. Queen takes queen, pawn takes. And now there is this, look at Aram getting up after move 40, and Aravindh is just going forward, making a queen here. Knight goes back to d3. And the knight jumps into e3, stopping king g4, attacking here. You're going to lose the second pawn. h5 played. And Aravindh takes the pawn, king g4. What a game this has been by Aravindh Chithambaram. Must say, he has played absolutely scintillating chess. And I think this game is a good reason why Aravindh is so highly rated. He had to win on demand here, because Pragg has already won his game. And king e4, but aren't you simply going to lose your pawn on h5? Check. He's going after the c3 pawn. But this is just over. He goes c2. Aram is very depressed here, very sad, but well, he tried his best actually. But I think it's not just about the position. It was also about how Aravindh handled the clock. He kept a solid lead. King g6, bringing the king up. King d2, and this for a super GM is just basic stuff. King e3. Aram just playing this out of inertia. Aravindh goes g5. King f3. And the knight jumps back to f6. Now with the idea of the h pawn and g pawn going down the board. Knight c5. h5 played. And resignation. Aravindh Chithambaram wins this game. A very, very beautiful show by him. To win in such a position with the black pieces shows what a huge will to win Aravindh has. And with this, he manages to win the Stepan Avagyan Memorial 2025, because he slightly had a superior tiebreak than Pragnananda. Both of them ended with 6.5 points out of 9, a fantastic performance. I think about 2800 performance for both, but Aravindh had that slightly better tie break. I want to take you through this very important moment in the middle game where Aravindh managed to outwit his very strong opponent. Let's have a look at the key moment. I want to draw your attention to this position when Aram pushed his pawn to e4. Aravindh recognized that d4 is weak and brought his queen to b6 and then brought his rook to d8, ganging up on this pawn, and now knight to c6. You can see how three pieces are attacking here. Aram defended, and in order to create more play, Aravindh played a5 to weaken this structure. Rook c5 is a very strong move attacking the b5 pawn, but after AB, which I liked a lot because rook b5 is a mistake, as after queen a7 and then AB, you have bishop a6 with lot of potential problems on b4 and d3 square. So rook c5, there's knight b4 and black is already pressing here. So ab4, and now Aravindh finds rook a3, queen d2, and here is the point. If you take bishop b5, there is knight e4 hanging. If you take rook b5, again queen a7 with the threat of bishop a6 is super strong. Now there's also threat of takes and bishop a6. So in the game, queen d2 was played and e5, again hacking at the structure. I was very curious what would happen to the move d5, but as it stands, there is rook takes d3, queen takes d3, and now knight takes b4, attacking the queen and the rook. The only move, logical, because if queen e3, there is knight g4. This is typical Aravindh. The knights are jumping everywhere. Queen b5 is the only logical move. And now comes a beautiful move, bishop a6. Pinning here, you have to take cb6, attacking the rook. And now the knight is also hanging. And there's no way you can defend, like rook c2 is impossible because of the knight. And it's such beautiful geometry on the board. e5, that's why is an incredible move. And it doesn't end here. Rook takes b5 is met with queen a7. Now again threatening bishop a6. Now pushing the pawn makes no sense because of bishop a6, very strong. You can't take here, rook d3 is hanging. So rook c5 was played in the game. Knight d7, attacking the rook. Rook d5, knight e7. Aram did well till here, and after Aravindh took the pawn, he should have taken knight d4. But here also it was very risky with knight e5, threatening to take and push c5. And if queen c3, you take, because if takes here, there's bishop a6. But queen c7 is the move, attacking here and here. And after rook e8, you have rook b1 pinning here. And somehow, almost magically after this, white is still better because of knight d6 ideas. But think about it. Aravindh had put his opponent under so much time pressure that he went a6. And here after knight c5, rook d6, in the end, eventually he managed to win. I think this was one of the most amazing games that you would see from Aravindh Chithambaram.